Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. I know I am 2 minutes early for real. I have so much announcements to share with you guys today. And I am so happy to announce so many good things happening on the weekend. And let's go ahead and start with some music. You know me, I love to start Wednesdays with music.
Welcome everybody to Level Up Academy podcast. We have 40,000 YouTube subscribers with 100,000 views for the month of January. Thank you. We are globally ranked top 10% podcasters out of 3 million because of you. Thank you so much. We are in 90 nations and countries now, actually, not just 80. And we are also in an amazing radio show as well in 30 different other countries. We are in 25 distribution channels, and our E360 TV is going to double up soon on Sunday. That means more opportunities for big organizations and companies and founders to be on TV. We are the world for us, by us. Our vision is to be the Netflix of education, while our mission is to level up the world through education. Help us. To keep my sanity, I meet A-listers in Hollywood and amazing people from Stan Lee to Greg Nicotero to Ken Foree, and of course the RoboCop and Alien are my favorite movies throughout my life. 3 times international best-selling co-author, and I am publishing with 24 different co-authors currently with Beyond Boundaries. TV analytics, why do you want to be with Level Up? Look at 54 to 64 is what we're capturing, and even 3 to 18 years old. We are having 2,000 watch hours in our TV show. The platform that is mostly popular is on the web and of course Roku channel and Amazon along with iPhone users. YouTube subscribers, our biggest one is 35 to 44 and 45 to 54 years old is our biggest demographics. And let's take a look at female and male. 26.3% female and more men on YouTube watching us. Ask yourself, who has the most disposable income in your niche of organization? This is the TV. I'm capturing more women on TV than men. So I have both men and women demographics. This is the YouTube channel. 73% men, 26% female. Look at our impression. Over 250,000 just for 28 days. So let's collaborate. Let's go ahead and go take our courses. Let's do book publishing, graphic design, mentorship, and we are your publicity hub. Welcome to Level Up Academy, guys. And in our Level Up Circle TV, you will be in Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple, Google Play, and much more. 1,000 thanks to everybody. Are you a curious student, eager to learn new skills and make your mark in the world? Or are you a professional seeking to advance your career and unlock your full potential? You need to be equipped with effective soft skills like communication, problem solving, teamwork, and more. The Level Up Academy by Doc Leland bridges the gap between education and employment through transferable skills training. Get the soft skills you need to be more effective.
You guys ready? I'm ready to go. I just want to like keep this up here, okay? Because this weekend, you don't understand the behind the scene. I tried to launch this book actually like, I don't know, Thursday of last week, but Amazon had an internal issue and they literally emailed me. I went back and forth, and finally they like, okay, fine, we're gonna release it to you on Saturday or Friday night. So we did. And these amazing, like when I started first, it was about, I think at the end of the whole process, I had 24 people in my book. And then three more souls said, hey, I want to be in this project. I have something I have to say to my future family when I do projects when it comes to anthologies, right? It's the cheapest way to get your books and your stories out there rather than spend $20,000, $30,000 on creating really a buzz because it's huge with marketing and editing is a lot of work. That's why you spend that money. Of course, you could do self-publishing, but the amount of marketing and the people involved in that doesn't really get you a buzz, right? You have to spend a lot of money in marketing. The best way to put your foot out there, especially if you are a brand new author, even if you had a book before, this literally is my eighth book, right? And this is my first time as a publisher. I'm so proud of these people. They all said yes to me and they all said yes to themselves, first of all, right? You can't say yes to anybody if you don't say yes to yourself. And they did. And I'm so happy they did because I took them in this crazy ride with so many editing with each other and crazy Zooms. And guess what? We literally, this is unprecedented, guys. We literally hit 5 countries. Number one, international best selling book. Hello? Literally everybody on this book, right? Most people will have 2 to 3 countries. We hit 5 countries, guys. Okay. Number one international best selling book because not of me, not of one person. It's because of everybody's story. That's why I love anthologies. We're going to have one, by the way, coming up again in May. My dear sister Susanna is going to be the lead on that one. But nothing has changed in terms of quality, in terms of marketing. Nothing's changed because it's part of my Level Up Academy, right? So it's the same quality of everything. And okay, the physical book's coming out, but my goal, okay, literally once the book comes out, you have a week to order this book physically because I'm going to pre-sell it on a different platform, expanded basically where each and every single author here can do book signing at their local bookstores, including Barnes and Noble. Like, have you heard of an anthology having book signing? I haven't. And that's why I wanted to innovate it for them. It is not easy, but it is possible. And all I wanted to do is inspire the possibilities for anybody to want to show up for themselves. Okay. So, oh my gosh, it's so amazing. Hi, everybody. See my background? It's always going to be that for a while now. So here's the thing with each book sale, because I'm not a rich person, but I like to give back to my community, right? There's so many long hours in this book, but I'm not going to stop there giving back to my community. So once this book comes out between now and June, so the book will come out for about a week. This weekend, it should come out. Crossing my finger, I can't control Amazon. But once it comes out physically, what happens is you have about a week to order it on Amazon. Then after that, it's going to be taken out until around, we're going to do pre-sale though. So you can still buy the book. It is going to be for a little bit of higher price because there's going to be, everybody wants to get their fee. But I made a commitment to give more jobs to farmers in Africa and to actually give back to our environment. I am big on United Nations. I always look at their ESG and SGC goal. So by buying this book, you're actually committing to helping us with the United Nations goal. And we're going to hit about 5 goals by buying this book. 4 is quality of education. 10 is reduce inequalities. They're based on our stories. Number 11 is sustainable cities and communities. Number 13 is definitely the big one for us, which is climate action. And last but not least is number 15, which is life on land. So all of those, there's 17 goals from United Nations, just to let you know. And we're hitting 5 out of that 17 by buying this book. And you're like, CJ, what does that mean? Every single time you buy this book, you are helping not only United Nations, but people who are building, like the farmers are going to be building their own houses and feeding their families because you're providing jobs basically. And we're planting trees through Evertreen, and Evertreen is used by Hewlett Packard, big organizations, but I don't have big budget to buy trees. So this is my way of giving back, is through collaboration with big organizations through the purchase. So every single purchase of your book, whether from now till June, a portion of that goes to us buying a book. And I really want to buy one tree per co-author in this book. I get literally like 80 cents or like $1. So I was like, oh my gosh, it's going to be a lot. And I'll give you more info on how to buy your own trees if you are interested. I think they vary between $12 to $20 per tree. And I wanted to buy 27 trees for our co-author. So help us get those goals. I appreciate you. I cannot wait. Also, guys, we love ratings. We love feedback. If you are giving us feedback, we actually read, right? I shouldn't say if. When you give us feedback, I read every single feedback because we're always trying to continuously improve. If there's any stories out of the 27 different chapters in there that resonated with you, let us know. The authors really pour their heart out, their soul. Some of these authors have families and friends here on LinkedIn, and they never even know about those stories until you read the book. And I was crying a lot on this book. I had the privilege to read every single person's story, and they were very emotional. But most importantly, they give you advice on how to thrive and not just survive within your adversity. And as we speak right now, one of our members also he's just trying to survive right now. You know who you are. I'm praying for you and your family. I'm just gonna get maybe 10 seconds of silence, guys. She lost her brother recently, so just 10 seconds of silence. Just out of respect. But even when she's surviving emotionally right now and everything else within her, we are thinking about you. We are thrivers for sure. And again, just because you write this book doesn't mean you're not going through adversity, but there's going to be a lot of people who's thriving within their adversity. And that's really what we want, is to inspire others to say, hey, I can do this too. What else do I have? Oh, yes. I'm going to announce that in May, we're going to have another anthology. Again, this is going to be for our dear sister, Susanna. She's going to be leading that. I don't know what the topic is, but if you want to be in our anthology, it's going to be 1,500 to 3,000 words. And we have a lot of amazing things. Some definitely you'll pay, but there's also opportunities for you that you don't have to pay, because some of us would love to be in a project, but we can't just afford it. So we're going to have things like that we offer for each and every one of you, as a way to give back to the community. Sometimes during my TV show, I will do a giveaway. And if your name is picked, I don't pick it, the system does, you can actually get in for free. And so it's going to be amazing. Anything else? TV show tomorrow with some of the authors. They're going to be reading 5 minutes excerpt of their chapter. And then Sunday is going to be another TV show. And then MP3 comes out this Friday for Chasen and his team. We also have a class in the 26th, which is Tuesday. It's a free mini masterclass. This one's accounting. And Dr. Michelle Bose, she leads, breathes, dream about accounting. She's been doing this for 50 years, guys. She's going to give us a way to manage our business financially, especially if you live in the United States, IRS codes and things like that. She will help you figure out what are some of the deductions that you can as a business owner. What are some of those things? You get certificate. I still owe you guys certificates from my class and of course, Dr. New. I will be sending those out sometime this week. All right. But without further ado, are you guys ready? Do you guys want to know who my amazing guest today is? Let me see if she's ready. Oh, she gives me a thumbs up. I'm gonna mess up her name. I'm hoping that she'll forgive me because You know me, right? Like my names and stuff like that. It's something that I'm I'm just gonna say English is my seventh language. How are you, Elisa? Right?
That's right. Yes. Yeah. Don't worry about it. You can literally say my name five different ways. So I appreciate
They're
you.
like, I respond. I know sometimes they're like, you. I'm like, yes, hi. You know what I mean? Like, I'll just raise my hand. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm excellent. Thank you. Doing super well.
Awesome. Yeah, so I literally start this question, right? So
Mm.
I want my community to get to know who you are. We had an amazing conversation. What you guys want to know is that if you want to be in my podcast on Wednesday, it is actually free. But I don't have any availability until like maybe June or July. But here's the thing. What I want to do is I always want to talk to you if we have that same energy and I see that you're heart centered, you're definitely going to be in my show. I don't just pick random people on my show. The reason being is I want to continue that inspiration within our community. So I know they know that when you're in here, my community knows that if you're in here, I already vetted you as a heart centered person. Okay. So welcome, welcome. By the way, if you're on YouTube watching this, thank you. 50,000 subscribers this weekend. Love you guys. Oh my God. I'm so excited.
Amazing.
I know. But let's go back to you. Think back 20 years ago and find within your timeline some of the significant changes in your life that got you here where you are today.
Mm, there have been so many. I think about 20 years. I think about probably about 20 years ago is when I realized that I wasn't happy, that I was ticking all the boxes of life, that I was doing all like the right things, all the shoulds, and and I really wanted to, I really wanted to go traveling, and I wanted to explore the world, and yeah, and I wasn't. I was just at home, and it was just something I always wanted to do, and I think that's kind of when I sort of realized it about 20 years ago, and it may have taken me like about another year, year and a half to actually go, and I completely packed up my life. I sold my car, rented out my apartment. My contract, my job ended. I was going to school and I got graduated. And then I took off and I went backpacking. And that was kind of the beginning of my traveling journey. And I've actually traveled 53 countries in my life. Yeah. And part of that journey took me to Europe. I lived in Europe for 11 years. And actually I got introduced to coaching when I was in Europe, when I was living in London, England, which I think kind of like brought me to that. And actually like in London is sort of when I hit my rock bottom. And from there I kind of thought, who do I want to be now? Like, who am I? Who do I want to be? How do I want to show up in this world? And that's really where I started my own transformational journey. And also my project management career really took off when I was in London. So, and those two things kind of has brought me to where I am now, where I kind of combine my coaching experience and my project management experience to be a launch manager. So yeah, so I think there was like a lot of sort of things that kind of, built on top of each other.
Wow. First of all, let's pause for a minute. 53 countries?
Yeah.
Did you spend like a day, 24 hours, 5 minutes? Like, how did that go?
Some of them, yeah, maybe was like a day or two when I was backpacking, especially like through Eastern Europe. It was kind of going through the whole place, and so it was always like a night or two in each place. Um, or each it was mainly like the capital cities of the countries. Some places I went on via like a cruise ship. My brother worked on cruise ships, so I got to go and like be with him and like party with all him and all his friends on the ship, but also see some amazing places. So some of those countries were just like a day trip. And then actually I did backpacking. So like in some countries I was there for a month or two. So yeah,
That's so
much
amazing.
variety.
So I saw recently on TikTok this guy from London. He's like, now I understand why Americans don't really necessarily need to travel. And I was so curious. I'm like, this is gonna be a negative thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're talking crap about us again. And I literally what he said is, see, in America, it's so huge. Like California alone, right? And Texas is huge. And so you cannot like you can't finish it in a day. I live in San Diego all my life. I still don't have like where are these things? Like, that's new. I never even knew we have low tide, high tide. You can go to these caves. Like, I was so shook, right? And I can explore my city and I will never be done within a lifetime. And so what he's saying is that in Europe, because the countries are so close together, that you could be in the next country in like really within hours, right? And
Yeah.
nothing. But in America, you would have to, I mean, even me visiting my mom, if I have to drive, it would be 7 hours. And we're in the same
Wow.
state. We're in the same state, okay? And I was like, okay. I mean, New York is smaller and Vermont, but Texas, huge, 5, 6 hours to see your friends, and you live in the same state. So
Right.
I definitely think that backpacking and all of that, you see different cultures, right? And you get to meet people. That's one thing I love about the only continent I think that I haven't been is Antarctica. South America, well, okay, Mexico, but that's because it's close to San Diego. But South America is huge, right? But
Yeah.
one country, which is Mexico, but definitely Europe, Antarctica, and portions of South America I've never been. But I've been all over Asia, obviously, because we had manufacturing industry for my family in China. So I've been all over Asia, and obviously North. I haven't been to Canada. So one of those things that it's
You gotta
on
come
my,
here. I'm in Vancouver, so you gotta come visit.
I know, but so I wanted to know, like, when you decided saying, hey, this is what I want to do, I want to be coaching other people, right? How did you kind of start that? Like, what was your experiences that made you decide this is what I want to do?
I I was in a course at work where I kinda got introduced to it, and then I can't even remember how I found out about it, but there was an academy in London that did a sort of weekend introduction to coaching, and I remember I just was so blown away by the power of it, and, like, even what I learned because we got to practice with each other and, like, do questions, and there was this one woman and it was just like they gave us the script and like asked these questions and they talked to us about, listening because it's so hard to listen sometimes because we're always in our head, right? When someone's talking, you're like, oh, I want to relate to this or I got this story or whatever. But to actually just completely shut that off and listen to the other person and just ask the question. So I really practiced doing that. And at the end of it, she was like, oh, like she had this amazing aha moment. She figured something out in her life that had been bugging her for a while. And she was like, that was so amazing. Thank you for doing that. And I thought, well, all I did was ask the questions that I was told to ask, because it was just if you can do that, if you can really see someone and let them be heard and seen and just give them the patience to figure something out for themselves and ask them really good questions, it is so powerful to them and so transformational. And I just thought, wow, that's amazing. And so that was kind of the beginning journey of it. And then even as I actually had to put it on the back burner for about 7 years because my project management career really took off. And then I moved back home. And I decided during the pandemic, I was like, just kind of realizing that I wasn't super happy with working in corporate anymore. And I was like, oh yeah, that coaching thing, maybe I'll bring that back. And as I did my certifications, we had to go through everything that we were going to teach. So like the programs that they gave us that we would actually take our clients through, we had to go through ourselves and practice with each other. And in doing so, because I ended up getting 4 certifications, and especially as I got more to like the mastery level one, the transformations that I had and the things that I was just it just really, really changed my life and impacted my life. And so that just what makes me so passionate about it because it's so powerful. Yeah.
I love it. And you're glowing when you're talking about it. So I love it. And that's what I was so attracted is that you were so passionate about what you believe in. That's the thing. When someone really wants, like you said, want to be heard and seen. I actually, for a moment there last year, I was going, and I always have it in the back of my head, VHS. And no, I'm not talking about the little thing that you put in your little thing back in the 80s. Okay, I know I'm old, but value, heard, and seen, right? Most people want to be heard, want to be seen, but they don't want to provide value. They just want to like,
Mm,
oh, I do a little bit of here and but I want to be here and here. And I think when you align that you are providing value so you can be heard and seen, that is, I think, the best way to approach anything. It doesn't matter if it's coaching or selling a product, selling shoes, because you're always providing value to somebody within. Now, you are like super coach literally because you're helping other coaches, And you're also an author, right? And you also do speaking engagement. How do you actually help a coach to elevate and sustain and really move up their business?
Yeah, so I use my I have all my so I did some like life coaching. I started with health coaching and then I moved into life coaching, really helping working on confidence building and self-confidence. And then I decided I was like, I've got like 13 years of project management experience. Like, why don't I bring that into the coaching world as well? And so what I do now, yes, I work with coaches to help them plan and execute their program launches. And I noticed that, of course, like a lot of us on the transformational journey, so many entrepreneurs were just like these serial learners, right? Always wanting to learn the next course, this and that. And so I am the same. And in doing so many courses, I noticed how I am so much of a doer. And so I would implement the things that we would learn. And some people I would notice in my same program, it might take them 6 months later or maybe a year or even some parts like they never really got themselves out there, and the statistics of coaching businesses failing, like, or not making it to 5 years is quite high, and so I thought, "Well, um, what's going on there? Is there a gap that maybe I could fill?" And I think that that gap is that it's so overwhelming. There's so much to do if you wanna get yourself out there as a coach. If you wanna, like, make yourself visible, you gotta be brave, you gotta have that confidence, and there's just a ton of stuff to do if you wanna, do your own master class, or if you wanna get your program out, even just putting the program together, like, how are you gonna deliver it to your clients? How are you gonna onboard them? All that kind of stuff is just this giant list, and I think that that is so can be so overwhelming. People don't even know where to start. They don't know how long it's going to take. And I thought, well, I'm like a super organized planner person, and I know that I did that for myself. Like when I first did my first launch, I remember just thinking like, like there are a lot of puzzle pieces, and even in the puzzle has like different scenes of the different things you need to do. And because of sort of my type A personality and the way I am, that I was able to kind of figure out how those puzzle pieces all come together into, this beautiful picture of launching. And so yeah, so I was able to do that. And I just thought, oh well, I can bring these skills to other coaches to really help them get out there. And it's really to help them get their program out there so that they can help people. Because that's what it's all about, really, right? We're here to help. So get yourself out there. And I think that, yeah, just help them with that plan. And I help them, like, I hold their hand. I'm like, okay, this is what you got to focus on this week. This is what you focus on this week. And just try and not get so overwhelmed with, the 3-month thing you got to do.
I love that because everybody needs help. It's like now you got an inspiration. You found your niche. You know who your target market is. And you're like, now what? What do I do? And then you look everywhere to find, right? To find the answers like, okay, what's step one? Hello, 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 right? And if you're
Yeah.
by yourself, like, I don't know what happened. And then you go into depression, you go down, you're like, I had a great idea. I just don't know how to launch this thing. And
Mhm.
so I'm glad that you extrapolated your experience, right? It's transferable skills from
Yeah.
project management to like, I can manage you right now. Let's go. Right. And I love that because we need people who sometimes need to hold our hand to say, let me hold your hand for the next 1 month. And then I'm going to be in the background once you launch, but I'll still be watching you in case you need me to catch you. I love that. Right. And what are some of your strategies? Actually, let me show the question here. I don't want it to be a ticker. So hold on 1 second. I wanted to see this. What strategies and experiences have shaped your approach to coaching other coaches, really? And how do you leverage your skills as an inspirational speaker and, of course, an author to enhance those effective coaching methods? You mentioned one, which is your project management. Is there any other way? Like, let's say you're going to coach me. I'm a coach, right? And I said, "Okay, I have this program that I want to launch. What is the first step that you would tell me or ask me?"
I would Yeah, I would take you there's sort of like yeah, 3 things. And the first one is pretty much like the planning of it. So I would kind of get some details of, when do you want to launch? What are your goals around it? And I like to call them the keys to success. What are all the things that are going to make you successful? And even if you're going to do some type of event, how many people do you want there? And then we look at actually planning out. Like, okay, let's sort of get like a brain dump of it and think of all the things that you need to do and task them out bit by bit. And I actually like when I work with them, I have a template, and my launch plan is actually like 300 tasks long. It's huge because there's so many things that you can do. And when I work with somebody, I like to work with them to customize it 100% for them and like word it so it makes sense to them and take things out or put things in, like whatever they're doing, so that it works for them perfectly in their business. And so we look at all of that and we go through it. I hold their hand task by task, and we actually put dates to it as well. So it's like, okay, this is when you want to launch. Like, what do we need to be doing now? What can we be working on every single week? So yeah, really look at them of how to plan their lunch. Um, Another thing we do is looking at how to kind of make things less stressful because um, I think when we start a business, we don't really think about the back end systems very much. So we kind of like, oh, I'm just going to put this file here. I'm going to put that. I don't know. Just things go wherever. Everything's on my desktop or everything's in my downloads folder. And I noticed that a lot of coaches or maybe business owners in general can spend a lot of time searching for things, searching and trying to find stuff and not really having this set up system. And so when people scale and you like bring in your team, nobody can really find anything, and you end up um, either taking hours searching for things or then having to recreate them. And when you recreate something like that, eventually will cost you money. I know a coach of mine that had that where he was working with a contractor and she kept everything on her personal email and her personal drive. So when she ended the contract, he didn't have access to it anymore. And he thinks that because of that, having to do all the redoing and all the searching, and therefore things were delayed and they didn't hit their targets, that he thinks it cost him about $50,000 in that launch because it was so much time, yeah, recreating it. And oh, sorry, my Zoom does that sometimes. I talk with my
No,
thumbs. I'm like, oh, I gotta keep my thumbs down.
no, no, because like my dog just came in here and tried to pull in things. I was like, oh, stop! Like I have two dogs, and sometimes you'll hear them snore. It's just the way they are. I think Izzy, one of my sister here, she's from Canada. This is what she said. She's like, hey, she wants to come to Montreal. So you guys can meet up. And of course, our sister Sindel, love the personalization, Alyssa. Um, so that is actually really good to know. See, this is my thing. I always tell people I'm a very structured person. I like everything filed in certain things. I like everything labeled in certain ways. I have a mind of my own, but then it takes another mind of its own on its own. So it just goes like sub folders. But I like to see them sometimes, even me as a person who likes to have folders, I don't even remember where I put things. So when I file them, it's always based on logic. Like if it's a classroom and it's a class, it's going to be on the classroom folder. And
Right.
then within the classroom folder, I have what kind of classes is it? So then it's going to be on there. And then from there, you're like, wait, who's teaching that class? Because Level Up Academy, I have people who teaches. I'm like, oh, okay. So then I added names in there. So it's really important to have, to me, it's like, I love launches, I love courses, I love personal growth, but you have to have a strong foundation before you
Mhm.
start running because you will keep falling down. And
Yeah.
it's like, when you want to run a marathon, you don't just like sign me up tomorrow, I'll start running. It's not going to happen. You have
No.
to have a lot of weeks and days, sometimes even years or months to really practice, right? Your
Yeah.
legs, your breathing, your, hydration and your capacity, your lungs, and all that. It's the same thing for business. You want to have all of these launches that's happening, but you haven't made an effort to actually look at your foundation first to see if you're
Mhm.
ready. When my clients come to me and said, CJ, I need to be on this, and I'm like, why? And they looked at me like, don't you want business? I'm like, yeah, but I prefer our friendship to be intact. So I want to make sure why. Why do you want to do it in there? And what? Because here's the thing, people like to be heard and seen, but where's the value? Right? So when you're ready to launch whatever, great. I'm here to support you, but I want to know the back end. I'm a back end person. I'll break the system, put it together, and then I'll let you know why. Right? How do you is that the same similar process that you do for other coaches out there?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I get them to actually look at that and think about it and be like, okay, where would be a good place for this to live? What even is a good way to name things that's going to make sense to you? And that when you scale, it'll make sense to other people too. Have you ever done that where you're like, write an action to yourself, or like, oh yeah, I got to do this, but it's sort of in this like, it makes sense at that moment. But if you go to look at it 2 days later, you're like, what did that mean? What am I supposed to do? Because it's kind of like this part, like, oh, like, go look at the thing on the thing. And you're like, right, I knew the thing was 3 days ago, but what is it today? I have no idea. So something like that, it's getting them to, yeah, really think about how they want to structure their files, how they want to name it. Even look things like, do you want to put dates in it? Like what's your date format? Or if you want to have versioning, what's your versioning format? So like that everything is kind of consistent, so it's easy to find. And yeah, and I talked to them as well about even just like, the performance on your computer. If you have your desktop full of things or your downloads folder full of things, your computer's going to run slower. And like nobody's got time for the rolling ball of death or like the blue screen of death or like things to get frozen or stop working, especially if like you're doing a talk like this or you're presenting to your client, so even things like that, like make that a system. Love to talk about systems all the time. Like, what is your system for this? Because if you sit down and actually give yourself the time and the space to think about how you want your business to run and what those systems are, then they just become these, habitual kind of processes that are repeatable, and then things flow so much easier, and you just become so much more efficient. And then when you're more efficient, then you have more time to spend with your clients and doing the work that you love.
I love that. Now, I'll be honest with you. Most of my friends know I don't like the word coach. I think it's overused and overdone, and some people really give you a bad name. Like, you have certified yourself, you have worked so hard on yourself for years and years and years. But I've seen some coaches that, like, they went from a cashier at somewhere and then they got a certificate for 2 months. And then the third month, they're charging $5,000 as a coach. How do you handle those clients that are like, hey, Lisa, I'm ready to launch my coaching business? What are some of the steps that you would help them to launch those?
Um, yeah, so I get them to, again, yeah, starting with the whole plan, looking at their back end systems. If we were to do like the program itself, I would, yeah, get them to kind of think about how they want to structure the program, like what it wants to look like, what they actually want to deliver, their extra things, or there's bonuses, or their templates, or their, quotes. Like in my program, when I was doing life coaching, I love to have journal prompts and affirmations that I would send each week to them, to kind of help people on their transformational journey. Um, and then also I like to look at the metrics as well that really matter to them in their business. Cause I find that if you can track things, like if you do talk, like, did you get sort of any opt-ins from it? Or if you, what was I? I've lost my train of thought. If you're looking at things like trying to get people into your, say, master class that you're doing, and looking at the metrics with that, because like maybe people aren't converting as well. So they can actually go back and be like, okay, where does that conversion sort of drop off? Oh, it's with this particular part of my process or my system. Maybe I can make some tweaks here to improve the numbers. And so I like to take them kind of through that process to look at things. But yes, I totally agree with you that there are some people who just sort of jump into it and then overcharge. I see that also with business coaches as well. Sometimes, there are these grand promises, you can make 2 million in 2 months if you work with me. And I just think, I think that that's sort of like a promise that isn't possible. And so that was something I really, even when I was thinking about making the pivot from my life coaching to doing this now, I thought like, I do not want to be one of those people. And so that's why like I feel really good about what I do, because I know that I was in project management for 13 years. I think I have like 10 different types of certifications in project management that I accumulated, and being the coach as well, and actually doing it myself and having successful launches. And so but yeah, I find that and I think that some coaches do get a bad reputation from it, because people, they invest all this money in a business coach and then they don't deliver on what they promised, or they, that 2 million in 2 months doesn't actually happen. And I think that a lot of people have been burned, and therefore there's a bit of like, so people are a little bit more cautious now about who they choose to work with. And yeah, and so I think it's good to have some sort of credibility behind you, and yeah, success with other
I
people.
love that. And I love, let's take it to the KPIs, because I'm teaching a social media class right now. And all my students are like, Dr. Lewin, how do you track, right? Making, like, for example, there's a stats back in 2023 or last year saying that Kylie Jenner actually, for 100 words, you're gonna pay her $653,000 for 100 words on X. And they're
Wow.
like, so how does one company track that for their saying that, we give you 1 million, therefore we got to 1 million? Like, how do you track that? I said, first of all, you got to be realistic. Marketing is the biggest budget you'll have because marketing is a lot. You have branding, you also have brand awareness, right? Branding means like logos and typography and all of that. That's another thing. Then you have somebody who's actually going to be your PR for the brand awareness. That's a different one. So the KPIs literally for influencers are so different than your business. But if you're going to pay someone, obviously we can't afford 1 million to pay somebody, but let's say if you pay someone for that, I always tell them, listen, what I do for publicity is brand awareness. I create press releases for you to announce whatever you're launching as a business. That I can create press releases because I have access to like over 100 magazines, entrepreneurs, Forbes magazine. I have Australia, UK, Dubai, USA, Asia. I have access to that.
Amazing.
But I'm not just going to put you there because you feel like it. We got to have a strategy. Okay. And as far as KPI, usually the first thing that customers will want to know is conversions. Are we converting anybody from this $600,000 pay, right? Then also the referral traffic. Is there any traffic coming in based on this, right? And then, of course, the reach and awareness. Is anybody actually know who Kylie Jenner is? Yeah. Okay. Now, does anybody know about this product because of this text from Kylie Jenner? Probably, right? You're looking at your audience growth. Is it engaging? Is there people engaging in it? So there are KPIs out there, but for coaches, when they go through the process, what is your like metrics that you use for coaches to like saying, hey, we're actually doing a good job and we're going to move forward with this?
It's the conversion, very similar to what you're talking through, and I think that it's good as well, like, if they're a newer coach or just, well, I guess any coach, is to know actually the numbers may be smaller than you think. I remember when I first started out, I was, like, surprised that, if you have, say, 1,000 people on your email list, only 30% or less actually open it, and then maybe only, like, a certain smaller percentage actually click on it, and even if you get, say, like, 100 people opt into your workshop or something that you're doing, the show up rate could be 40%, could be 25%. And then actually are they going to book a sales call with you is smaller. And then what's your conversion rate? Is it as a beginning, it might be like 6 to 1. You may have to have 6 sales calls to make one conversion. And as you get better at it, it could be like 50%. So you have to think about like the numbers that you have to kind of start with are bigger and that they will, so if you have a revenue target, what does that mean? That means I have to have this many clients, which means I have to have this many sales calls, which means I have to have this many people in my workshop, which means I have to email this many people. So those are kind of the metrics and that conversion is what we sort of start looking at. And then it's like, okay, well then the goal then is like, okay, well then how do I get more people to show up? How do I get more people to opt in? How many joint venture partners do I need to actually promote it? And what can I do to encourage my joint venture partners to email and to get their people out and get more clicks? And so there's like a whole bunch of like tasks that go along with that conversion flow, like the funnel, really. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to have good funnel, and then from there, you're right. You got to look at your numbers. So here's a little teacher mode for me, because we're talking about having those people more. It's not enough to have an email list. Let's just put it out there. I was actually turned off by a person. This was last year. They were like, oh, you want to be in my summit, blah, blah, blah. It was a referral from another friend. I said, sure. And most summits, I will not pay to do that because I have enough platform that I don't need to pay for that, right? I love collaborations and I love helping people. But as a founder, all my budget literally goes to anything I can for my business. So at this moment, I don't have budget to pay to be on somebody else's summit. I create my own as well. So the types of influencers, because you're going to need influencers to help you get your awareness. Brand awareness is everything. Okay. That's the reason why I use my platform. But there are 3 types of influencers out there, guys. And this is not according to CJ. Okay. I don't just make this up for that. There's a book in there, but this is from influencer marketing. And I think this is from, let me take a look. It was a huge information dump from like a YouTube influencer marketing, celebrity marketing. And also, this is from Big Commerce. Okay, according to Big Commerce, if you want to look that up, to make sure that you know where it's coming from. But there are three types of, well, four, but three main types of influencers. There are nano influencers, which has, if you have 1,000 to 10,000 followers, you're considered a nano influencers. And you're like, well, I don't want to deal with nano influencers. I want a bigger one. There's a pro to dealing with nano influencers. They tend to have high engagement rates due to their interaction with their followers, right? They have the highest engagement rate with followership, like 8 to 10%, and most likely respond to direct messages as well. Now, the second influencer is micro influencers, and these have 10,000 followers to 100,000 followers. The pro in that is because they basically have followers that, they're being authentic. Their engagement or ROI on their posts tends to be higher than the macro influencers, which is the third one. Macro influencers have 100,000 to a million followers. These are the B-list celebrity, the people who have like really cool following. And then you have the mega influencers. These have million and up. And we're talking about like Kylie Jenner and all of them people, right? Even Justin Bieber from Canada is there. I'm just saying. Those are mega influencers. So usually we deal with the nano and the micro influencers. Have you seen that happening when you help coaches saying, hey, we need to collaborate with somebody who already has a brand so we can get more people involved in your program? Or is that something you're like out of the question? We're going to do it alone.
No, for sure. I entirely, we call them joint venture partnerships. And so it is doing that, like looking at influencers, looking at other coaches, how can you get on their list? How can you build relationships with them? Like what sort of collaborations opportunities could you have with them? And yeah, looking at that as well to see, because that was sort of a mistake that I made at the beginning, was that I was working, because when I was smaller, even like lower than the micro, under 1,000 with like my reach, my peers were about the same. And so we were supporting each other, yet because our reach was so small, our conversion was low, it didn't really help. I could have had like 20 JV partners, but only get maybe 45 opt-ins from all of them. And so it was like, okay, well, if I kind of, you know, play with the bigger players and try and build relationships with other people who are more influential, that'll help me, and then also I will help them, and be on the platform. And so yes, definitely that's a huge thing we talk about. Like, how are you gonna, what networking events do you need to go out? What kind of joint venture partners do you want to deal with? Like, who are your kind of your business partners? Because you want to have that synchronicity. You want to be able to know that you can support each other, have, a similar market, maybe like same niche, or do you add different products or similar products with different niches? And because you want to get in front of your right fit clients. So you want to be working with people that also have your people, and then you have their people too. So mhm.
You're like, I have a people for that. So how about this people? I have people for that too. I don't know anything about that, but hold on one second. I will go someone and ask someone. And I love that. And that's why I love collaboration over competition, is because you could
Mhm.
have 100 coaches. It doesn't really matter, right? People are like, oh, this is a coaches network. I can't because I need to be separate. Actually, that's a bad thing for you. The reason being is that you might be a coach of similar industry, but you're doing it differently in a unique way, right? You might be coaching someone for mental wellness. You might be coaching someone for health. You might be coaching someone for spirituality. There's so many different ways. And so I think that when you're thinking of scarcity mindset, like, oh, I can't, that's when people just like, okay, well, you're not going to grow because of that. So that
Yeah.
is so amazing. Now, oh my gosh, we're ending. I love this conversation. I'm looking at my we're ending. No. Alyssa, this is usually my last question, for everyone who's in here. If this is your last day today on this earth, what would be your parting message to your current and future families in terms of living life, legacy, and impact?
I would say to live life on your own terms, to really um, live authentically, which actually we were talking about this earlier, that I have a podcast coming out next week called Authentically Elisa, and it's all about living an authentic life and really having the self-confidence to do that, to be yourself and to fulfill yourself and do the things that you want to do. And that can take some courage. and some bravery in which to do it. But it's entirely worth it because this is the one life we have. So fill it with what you want. Surround yourself with amazing people who love you and support you, and yeah, live life on your own terms and do it authentically.
I love it. If you guys wanted to get a hold of Alyssa, it's going to be down below on LinkedIn. I'm going to give you this space to tell our viewers, your viewers and mine, not only your project, but what makes you uniquely you in terms of helping others within their business.
Um, because I'm like a super organized planner person, and I know that a lot of people don't have those skills, and or maybe like avoid them because who loves the back end systems? It's like it's not so super sexy. I know, so yes, me too. Love it, love it. But there are a lot because I think that a lot of coaches are really like more big picture thinkers, and they have ideas people, and they like love to coach, but running a business requires a lot of this work too. And so I think I bring that. I bring my plannerness, and I make it easy. Like I make it more like not so overwhelming because you can just like trust the process and follow it bit by bit and just know that you only have to focus on certain things because we will get to absolutely everything eventually, like to hit your launch date that you want to hit. And so I think that's kind of what I bring is that. And also with my own life coaching and the self-confidence coaching that I bring, I also that support as well. So, because there's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be things that don't work, maybe conversions that don't work. And so I can also be that kind of that sounding board, that strategist, but also that person that can help to pick you up and get you back on target. So stick to the plan.
I love it. Sister Susanna. Sister Susanna is like my real sister, for real. When I have a breakdown, I call her. Even if it's at 11 at night, we'd be like, what happened to the Zoom? Um, she's always my backup. My sister Danielle is actually not here because she's working right now, but that's another one. Dr. New is here. This is my other sister. She's my queen of mindfulness. She does guided meditation. I'm like, sister, I need you right now. I need a breathing exercise. Okay, to calm me down. I have ADHD. I can't help myself. My brain's like, blue, blue, blue. I need to align myself, right? Because what happens is we have a perfectionism type A ADHD. It's a disaster, like waiting to happen. And so I need to like prioritize what is a priority today, what can we do today, and things that are, something that we can control. Now,
Mhm.
I wanted to know, is there anything we can support you right now? Are you doing anything special, courses, classes?
Well, I run a monthly workshop. So it's usually like the fourth week of the month, and it's called Fast Track Your Program Launch, a fast track way to get your program launched. And so it's all kind of similar to what we talked about today, but I go into like a lot of detail, and it's actually a workshop where we actually do exercises where I get you to start putting together that plan. I get you to file it and actually think about where you want to put it into your systems. And I get you to think about the metrics that actually matter for your business and for your launch. And so it's an actual working session so you actually come away with stuff with it. Yeah. So I do that on a monthly basis.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So we're already, it's next week. When next week?
Actually, I did it because next week I'm launching my podcast. So I actually did it on
Ah,
Monday. So the next one is on April 24th. And yeah, with the LinkedIn link that's going across there, I always promote it on my LinkedIn so you can get access to
okay,
it.
guys, April 24th. If you can't find her, just DM me and I'll DM Melissa. But more likely you will find her because hello, it's right down below. You know what I mean? Like, hello. Any last minute things that you would love to end this podcast? Do you have a favorite quote that you would like to share?
Ooh, a favorite quote. Um, I'm kind of blanking, but one thing I love to say is that you got this. You got it. You can do it. You can get your program out there. You can be brave. You can bring your genius out into the world and really help people. You can do it.
Awesome. I love it. I love Sister Susanna. We have another one that does systems. I'm not alone. So, because I break systems, like I literally break systems, and then I tell the CEO, you need to fix this, this, and this, and then come back to me, and then I'll test it again. Um, because the user should have a say on feedback, right? When you have a business, it should be a continuous improvement. Don't look for
Mhm.
perfection. It's never going to happen. Just look like the best that you can today and then move forward with it and be open to suggestions, because the people actually that are giving you suggestions, that means they love you already. They're already a fan, and they're literally giving you ideas that you can level up, right? Like level up your program. One of the favorite quote on coaching that resonates with me today in our conversation is, the best coach knows you better than yourself, then enables you to discover your true self and potential while guiding your steps till you reach that destination, whatever destination that is. That's what I see you doing. So thank you for doing that to our community. I appreciate you. We
Thank
appreciate you. We
you.
love you. I love this one. Susanna's like, living authentic life. Move beyond boxes. That's her. Move beyond boxes and
Oh, I
shine.
love that.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you guys so much. I will see you tomorrow. We will have the TV show at 9 a.m. same PST. And it's going to be with my dear sister Susanna, Gabe Leal, and of course, my sister Crystal. And we're going to read an excerpt of our book. Bye, everybody. See you in a bit.
Bye.
Alyssa,
Thank you
let
so
me
much.
put you in the green room and I'll be right there. Okay? All right. That was amazing. She is amazing. Like, you get the vibe, right? She's such a cool person. If you are a coach or if you are a business owner and you need systems in place and you're like, I'm overwhelmed, I don't know what I'm doing, why don't you just give Alyssa a try? Just have a conversation. It's like, hey, I saw you on Dr. Leland's show. I wanted to get a hold of you and just see where we can collaborate and go from there. Guys, she's heart centered. Okay, so you don't have to be afraid. She's heart centered. She's willing to help, and she has mad skills. Like, why wouldn't you? Okay, see you guys tomorrow. Love you, everybody. And night. Thanks for watching another episode of Level Up Academy today, brought to you by your none other host, Dr. Leland. Please do not forget to hit subscribe or push that notification bell, so anything that we have an activity on at Level Up Academy, you will be the first one to know. If you would like to be a guest in our podcast, both on the MP3, audio only, and also here on live in our YouTube channel, please let me know. DM me. Let's connect. Have a fantabulous day.